Hello there.
This is why you should never explore the forest at night. Late at night in 2006, two men hear some strange noises coming from a forest near their house, so they decide to go have a look. After their footage went completely viral, they would admit that they actually only went into the woods just to scare themselves. They didn't actually expect to film anything. At some point on their walk, they start to notice more and more dead birds on the ground, and so one of them gets out his camera to start filming them. As they're filming the birds, you can tell that they're getting more and more spooked by the whole situation, and then one of the men hears something in the tree line, and the cameraman pans his camera to look. Human eyes don't reflect light.
I just wanna be the one you love.
So I just discovered paranormal TikTok and I'm so excited about this because I have so many stories. For starters, I work in a hospital. It's very old. It was built in the 1800s. So as you can imagine, it's seen a lot of stuff. And as it turns out, so have I, right smack in the middle of a work day.
Welcome to the most haunted hotel in Boston, the Omni Parker. The 10th floor annex is home to numerous spirits, including Harvey Parker himself. The first elevator will open on the 3rd floor with nobody seen to exit. An actress named Charlotte Cushman died of pneumonia on the 3rd floor in 1876, where she haunts today. The most notorious room is 303, where a liquor salesman ended his life due to an unfortunate cocktail of barbiturates and whiskey. Stephen King stayed in this room, where it is said to have inspired 1408. The room has since converted to storage after complaints from guests. Charles Dickens spent 5 months here and is said to haunt a mirror by the press room. The most grim detail may be that John Wilkes Booth stayed here, practicing his fire before killing the president 8 days later.
It's been called a playground for paranormal investigators. Gilson Road Cemetery in New Hampshire is another one of the country's most haunted cemeteries. Visitors have reported mysterious fog, strange lights, orbs, and apparitions. A headstone carved for a 5-year-old has a perfectly round hole weathered in it. A local legend states that if you wander up the road and say, "Betty Gilson, I have your baby," that she will appear dressed head to toe in her colonial fashion. She may catch your eye, wrapping her hand around a tree and peering from behind it. If you go, this is definitely not a place to explore alone or after dark.
I'm really sorry, Sandy. I hate to do that. No, I don't. I'm in a cruel mood, as I said, so... Dorset isn't bereft of its spooky creatures either. William Doggett was steward of Eastbury House, and he could not stand his boss. When his boss went abroad, he sold off the house bit by bit, all of the belongings. And when he heard that his boss was coming back, he unalived himself. It was said that the blood stain that he had left behind could not be scrubbed out. And then, at the stroke of midnight, a ghost could be seen travelling around Dorset in a headless coach. The headless coachman would ask through his neck, "Where to, sir?" And William would reply, "Home." You could recognise William by the yellow ribbons on his knee breeches. He would travel back to Eastbury home and perform the same thing over and over again, never resting.
The Bell Witch is a legend from the southern United States which focuses on the story of the Bell family. They resided in Tennessee near the town of Adams in the 19th century, and from 1817 to 1821 they came under attack by this mostly invisible entity. The family reported sightings of strange animals, one being a dog with the head of a rabbit, and they heard strange sounds throughout the night. They reported hearing rats gnawing at their bedposts, scratching outside their windows, and rocks being thrown at the house. However, every time they went outside to see what was causing the noise, nothing was there. John and his daughter Betsy were said to have endured most of the abuse, which included being pinched, having their hair pulled, getting stuck with pins, and even being beaten. Whenever they asked who this entity was, it gave different names, one of them being Kate, which was actually the name of their neighbor. In 1820, John Bell passed away, and many people believed it was Kate who had poisoned him. The Bell Witch is a huge part of Tennessee history and is still taught in schools today.
Heard of the Irish Banshee, and you also might have heard of the Scottish Banshee, but have you ever heard of Jenny Greenteeth? Jenny Greenteeth is Yorkshire's contribution to the myth of the Banshee. She's found in bogs and rivers on top of moors, often seen washing her hair or her clothes. With long green nails and long black hair, she acts as a kind of omen of death, been known to pull children and the elderly into rivers and bogs and drown them, which is also why a type of algae is also called Jenny Greenteeth. The algae forms a thick line on top of the surface of a pond and is known for children falling in because they think that it's just land. So even though there aren't any new sightings of Jenny Greenteeth, her myth carries on into the modern day. But if you ever hear her crying on top of the moors, be careful, because that might be Jenny Greenteeth.
Listen to your elders, or you might end up meeting the Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga is a forest witch from Russian lore. Depending on what mood she's in, she might try to help you, or she might try to eat you. A lot of children from Russia were going missing, so what the Russian parents did was make up the story of the Baba Yaga to scare their children from going too far from home. She was also used to teach good manners. If you disrespect her, then you might be in danger, but if you have a good heart, she will not hurt you. Now, I love the John Wick movies, but Baba means old woman or grandmother, and Yaga means spooky or wicked. So John Wick's actual nickname is Spooky Grandma. If you like monsters, scary stories, and lore, please follow and like this channel. Thank you guys.
Have you heard of the House of Death in New York City? This place is said to be haunted by Mark Twain, even though Mark Twain didn't die there. He did live there though, but only for a year, but apparently it was one of the hardest times of his life. But that's not exactly where this story starts. This house was built in the 1850s and the first man who owned it actually died there. Ever since then, it's been kind of cursed. In 1897, a famous cyclist also lived there and he accidentally killed an 8-year-old boy near the house. After that, Mark Twain moved in and he said he had a weird experience even though he's pretty skeptical of ghosts. He said that he saw firewood move on its own, thought that a rat was carrying it off, and shot at it. When he shot at it though, he found blood, but he said it was not blood of a rat. I'm not entirely sure how he actually knows that though. After Mark Twain had died, it said his spirit still roams the halls. There's actually a report of somebody seeing a full-body apparition of him. Stay tuned for part 2.
Okay, let's Okay, let's talk about haunted Griffith Park. Let's start with the carousel that's haunted by a little boy. He's said to be in early 1900s clothing, walking through the horses. Next, we come to the abandoned zoo. Opened in 1912, the animals were so cramped and horribly treated it was finally closed in 1966. Some people say you can still hear the animals. I still haven't found it, but there is a ghost couple that haunts a picnic table they tried to smash on but were crushed by a tree. Yeah, the fuck right, I'm not going in there. Nowadays the remaining enclosures are a hot spot for graffiti artists, as well as for photo shoots and music videos. There are other ghosts of the park, including the ghost of Griffith J. Griffith, Don Antonio Feliz, and his niece who cursed the land. Dona Petronilla, as well as terrifying sightings of an 8-foot-tall demon with green skin, glowing eyes, and bent backwards arms.
This one actually gives me chills. 4 facts about Aokigahara Forest, also known as the Suicide Forest. Number 1. There are tons of bodies that show up in the forest every year. Most of them died from suicide. In 2003 alone, 105 bodies were found. That's a little scary. This one makes me uncomfortable. Number 2, Aokigahara is actually the world's second most popular suicide destination. I don't know why that's a thing. Only rivaled by the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know why that's a thing. Number 3, there are people that actually believe that Aokigahara is inhabited by a thing called the Tengu, which is a Japanese bird spirit, as well as the people who committed suicide there. That's creepy enough. And number 4, every year there's actually searches to go into the forest to try to find new bodies. I don't like that. I would never want to do that. That's just creepy. No, thank you.